I'm Jackie Miller-Charlton. I'm your host for the series, and I'm excited to be interviewing some exceptionally powerful, inspirational, world-leading women and bring you their stories.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Iron Ladies. Today I have the very beautiful Aline from Unseen Arabia with me. Hello Aline and welcome to the show.
Hi Jackie, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Aline, before we get into the questions overall, could you just, for our viewers, tell us where you're from and what is your background, please?
Okay. So I am from Latakia, Syria, a beautiful coastal city on the Mediterranean Sea.
Beautiful.
It was really lovely, simple, just perfect. Now I think it's a bit old, maybe tired and different, but still beautiful in my heart. Maybe only in my heart. So I've recently launched my magazine, Unseen Arabia, after working here in media for almost 15 years in Dubai. And I can't wait to share my story with you.
Perfect. Well, let's dive right in. What was your memories of your early years growing up?
The most important memory is my friends. We were a diverse group. I remember the talks, the ideas, how we discussed everything from books and movies to our future. So our city is a coastal city, and as you know, coastal cities are famous for their rich cultural life.
Yes.
So we would go to the cinemas, the theater, to concerts. We would read and discuss what we read. They were beautiful times, and they helped shape and make me who I am today.
Of course, absolutely. And what was it in those early years that you decided you wanted to do as a career?
So I am from a generation who considered informatics engineering the largest scientific revolution of our time. So when I scored high at my high school exam, it was just natural to choose and go to this field. I had a great passion for it, and I also got a master's degree in teleinformatics, and I worked in that field for almost 4 years. However, eventually I had to go back to my calling, and I am where I am today.
So you started out as an engineer in Syria?
Yes, I did.
And that in itself, I would suggest, for many a young girl watching this, is a very, very different career path for a young lady.
It is.
And obviously, there's a lot of, in terms of engineering, it's a very logical thought process, very different to a creative thought process.
True. So this shift happened due to 3 factors, I would say. First, passion, love, and a fantastic opportunity. So if I want to start with passion, so in Syria, we learn everything in Arabic. That's why Syrians are generally good at Arabic writing. So I still remember when I was 13, the Arabic teacher entered the classroom asking who Aline Alkhoury was. I said, it's me. Said, this is the best essay I have ever seen, the one I wrote. So I had passion for writing since I could remember. And for love, my husband, now my boyfriend then, was working in the UAE. So it was a great motivation to move here. And a fantastic, regarding the opportunity, while I was in Syria, I got the opportunity to freelance with Ahlan and other magazines. So, and the editor-in-chief back then believed in me. So one thing led to another, and here I am.
Amazing. So how did you make that career shift? Was it difficult? Was it seamless? How did you go from engineering into becoming an editor?
I was lucky in many ways. I worked hard, of course, but I got a lot of support and I was surrounded by fantastic people, role models, and examples of success. And I was determined to make it work. And above all, I love writing. That's where I feel myself the most.
That's a passion of yours.
Yeah.
From being a very young girl?
Since I could remember, I used to write essays and write paragraphs, write letters to my cousins. I have it in me since I was a child.
Yeah, so it's one of your skill sets, you would say.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. So you moved to Dubai 15 years ago.
Yeah.
What would you say were the early challenges that you faced, both professionally and personally, when you made the move here?
I would say it was the culture shift. I came to Dubai armed with talent and enthusiasm, but I didn't have experience. I didn't know how business ran here. So I had to build new skills, foster new relationships, and navigate my way through this challenging sector. But I remember feeling lost in the first days, but I was surrounded by really great people. I got support from friends, family, my husband, my colleagues. So, and I worked hard. I wanted to make it happen, and.
Do you think those early challenges, looking back, made you stronger?
Of course, I believe every challenge you face makes you stronger, and help shape what you are today.
Well, we've talked about working hard and dedicating yourself to the job in hand, which clearly made it possible for you to become the assistant editor of which one did you become?
Ahlan.
The Ala.
So Ahlan, started as assistant, then became the editor.
Yes.
So assistant, deputy editor, then moved to Time Out, and then I was the group editor.
What would you say was the lessons you learned on that career ladder journey that you took in the world of editing?
I would say to speak loudly. I was a quiet girl in my childhood. I still remember my mom telling me, Aline, no one would remember a girl who didn't have a voice. Even here in Dubai in the first year, maybe, I remember one of the editorial directors telling me, Aline, you're too nice. Well, I am still nice, but I have a voice. So you need to work hard and do what needs to be done, but do it loudly.
Indeed. You think that being a woman made a difference? You think it was more difficult for a woman to be heard than it would have been a man, for example?
I would not say so. I have not faced this. I was lucky enough to work in companies that value women voices. But I've seen women who suffered from that, and I know how hard it could be.
So your mum basically was telling you to look inward for confidence and to project your voice in order to be successful.
Of course. She's still telling me that.
Yes, of course.
Mom, they push
always,
you to do your best.
And your mum's your best friend.
Of course.
Forever.
Always.
Were there times throughout this journey where you felt your voice wasn't being heard?
Of course, that would happen. But I said no. I demanded a change. I raised my voice. But sometimes I didn't get what I wanted. But at least I left my mark.
Of course, absolutely. Would you say that the publishing industry in general is predominantly male or female?
So historically, it was dominated by male. But now, like over the past decade, we're noticing an amazing shift. We see now women leading editorial teams, women launching their media platforms, and women managing editorial strategies in the region and globally. But as any other creative industry, there is still room for more balanced representation. And, especially at the executive level.
The executive level, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
But, for me, I'll hopefully continue paving the way for other female talents to rise in this space.
I think that's wonderful. Have you ever experienced gender bias? So, where men were listening, but they weren't necessarily hearing because you were a female.
I was lucky not to face such things, but I know it exists, and I know how hard it can be.
Yes, indeed. And not just in your industry. Obviously, unfortunately, it still exists across the world, although I do think that it's getting better, as you've just alluded to, that more women are coming to the forefront and our voices are being heard. What's your thoughts on women and men working together as a collective to get the best results for a company?
It depends on the company culture, on the people that working. In some maybe environments, some workplaces, maybe some sensitivity would occur, maybe not. Maybe it would be more competitive. So it depends on the culture and the company culture, on the rules, on the managers who lead this conversation, who lead this process.
And company culture, of course, is, I believe, very, very important to instill an inspiration through the business for people to want to do their best.
Of course.
And bring their best work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt that you had to lead differently because you were a woman?
I believe that being a woman in the media industry, can offer some certain advantages. So I led a team of young journalists in Saudi for a couple of years, and I felt my presence there helped create more comfortable environment to work, and it helped avoid some unnecessary sensitivities that may happen in male-led workplaces, especially in Saudi.
Wow. And in 2023, you were appointed the head of digital content at Hello Arabia. What exactly did that role teach you about the audiences and how they're evolving in the region?
So this role taught me a lot, because stepping into a new, in completely new environment after building a long-standing comfort zone in my previous company was really a transformative experience. And women tend to stay in their comfort zone longer than they should. Not because we lack ambition, but because we're great in creating stability. But once you move out from what's familiar, the growth begins. And regarding the audience, it's amazing how rapidly their expectations are changing. Audience now is digitally savvy. They're visually driven. They crave for authenticity and cultural relevance, and they respond best to storytelling that reflect their realities.
That's really fascinating. So you believe that women take a lot longer to take that step because we feel more comfortable in our comfort zone than, say, men would?
I would say that, but Of course, not everybody.
No, of course
But
not.
this is what I see, or I can say about myself.
Yeah. Or you've experienced it with other women, for example,
Yes,
that you've worked
true.
with maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, fascinating. And then, having secured this exceptionally successful role at Hello, you decide, okay, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. It's my time now.
Yeah.
And you give it all up and you launch Scene Arabia.
Yes.
What led you to make that decision, and why at that particular moment?
You know, launching my own was in mind for like ages, but I kept postponing it. And like many factors played a role, but simply it was time. It was time to launch my own and apply my vision into something new and fresh.
What motivated you to take that step? What did you see that was different to what you had already been working in? What was it that was the vision you had that you felt industry was ready for?
You know, sadly, there is a huge gap now between the high quality Arabic writing and the modern trendy style. And also there's a gap in like in Arabic specialized magazines in hospitality and entertainment, the way that Scene covers. So here I am to cover these gaps.
So there was a huge gap that you noticed during the years that you were working for these other publications in predominantly hospitality, and what else? The gaps.
The gap mainly in the Arabic media, the quality,
Yes.
the quality of the traditional Arabic media, and also the gap of the hospitality magazines. And because I worked for like 7 years at Time Out in a hospitality magazine, but it was time to launch my own with my vision.
And when you say quality, is it the quality of the content or the quality of the publication itself? What do you mean by the quality?
Sadly, some like the Arabic media here is like still stuck in their 19th mentality, with some exceptions for sure.
Of course.
Of course. So like we still speak to the older generation, but there is a new generation that demand something new. You need to be dynamic, you need to be adaptive, because you'll be outdated in no time if you don't do so.
And of course, with the introduction of digital media, it's even more so.
Yeah.
That applies today even more. Scene clearly offers a fresh new perspective,
Yeah.
which is exactly what your vision stood for. Why was it important for you to break away from the traditional Arabic media and go into something new? And what's your vision to sustain the growth and make sure that Scene becomes the place to be seen?
So, unfortunately, some Arabic media here like helped pushing people away. You have Arabic speakers go to English media to know the news, to know what to do, the events in the city and everything. So with Scene, I want to break that. I want to be the guide, the place that people would read a high quality Arabic content, but it's like in an easy to understand way, in an attractive way that keep the people on the page, not to go and try to have the information from somewhere else.
So you're trying to provide a platform that's authentic, and that you are delivering them the latest information on whatever subject it is that you're promoting, and that the reader can trust in that information, as opposed to having to go and find this detail from a lot of collective different sources, for example.
Of course, and above all, like producing high quality Arabic content in a in a in a modern way, a modern style,
Sure.
you know. And the Arabic language is neither trendy nor flexible, but that does not mean you cannot play around it and still produce high quality content that is easy to read.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, I've spent quite a bit of time in the Middle East over the last 4 or 5 years, and I think it's one of the most happening, modern, adaptive cultures that there is in the world right now. It's also very safe, very secure, and it's all about opportunity, which I love. So I think there's a lot to celebrate with the Arabic culture. I really do. That's been my own personal experience. So I can completely understand why you would want to launch something for the Arabic community. What were the biggest hurdles you'd say that you had to overcome when you launched Scene?
So launching Scene has been really rewarding, but not without its challenges. Maybe the most challenging thing is managing everything at once while building a brand from the ground up. And funding is always a concern in
Of course.
the startup phase, but I would say also defining a clear voice, a clear content-rich voice that resonates the Arabic or the modern Arabic-speaking audience is the same important.
Definitely. So I think what you're saying is that you want to be the authentic voice and you want to be recognized as an extension of their thinking.
True, like something that reflects their realities, that speak to them, not just like placing words on a paper.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And of course, the more authentic and the more that we can reach people through the written word, the more your publication is going to grow.
True.
How would you define your leadership style?
So leadership is a tricky business. It's not influenced only by my experience and the way I see things. It's influenced by the company culture, because you cannot lead in a certain way at a company and lead the same way at different company. So the most important thing is the recipient. Some people would work with you and respond to your leadership style that for me consists of inspiration, mentorship, and focus on outcome. But other people, let's face it, Gen Z, they want to be involved, valued, and engaged in the process.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think maybe we're seeing the transition from old leadership styles to new leadership styles because there is so much more material available everywhere. You know, I remember when I was starting out, research, most people didn't even understand the word unless you were in publishing, of course, or editorial. But now it's at everybody's fingertips. So for sure, I think leadership is malleable. It's fluid. But I do think that to be a good leader, you have to possess certain qualities, and being empathetic has to be one of them. Being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
True.
So just telling someone what to do without explaining why it's important, for example, that's the leadership of yesteryear, and I don't believe it will get us very far. Not just the recipient of who you've been giving that command to, but the business itself. I've always felt that teamwork always makes the dream work.
True.
And yourself?
Of course. But at some companies, it's like this. You even accept or not. But as I mentioned, like as you mentioned, everything is evolving. And we would see that this change happens like soon at all the companies.
What would your approach be to mentoring younger women within the leadership roles that you've had?
I would say it's a personal approach. So when I lead like talents, I need to understand their culture. I need to know what motivates them and make them give their best and try to focus on that. So it's not like one size fits all approach.
Of course.
It depends on the talents that I work with.
So it's very adaptable.
Of course.
Yeah, that's great. What kind of content do you believe that Arabian women are interested in, both now and in the future? And how do you make sure that you keep your finger on the pulse to deliver what you believe they want to read?
So again, it's not like one size fits all approach. Arab audience is like a wide community. So like if there are like topics that may be interesting to some women and less so to another. So as content creators, we have to produce wide variety of content that appeals to everyone. And you know, in the content creation, there are two levels. First, the topic, and then the way you write it. So first comes the choosing a trendy and interesting topic, then the way you write it and how you present your ideas. And like the main aspect that you need to be dynamic and adaptive, and like to respond to stories, to write follow-ups, because otherwise you'll be outdated in like no time.
Yeah. So what do you think needs to change in typical Arabian media to interest and sustain the next generation?
The traditional Arabic media is like sadly stuck in their 90 mentality, with some exceptions. So they need to speak to the new generation. Of course, we're still speaking to older generation, but the new generation, they demand new ideas. They demand to read like media that is dynamic. So Arabic media need to be like open to new ways, to new ideas, to be more flexible.
So looking back on your career journey to date, what's the one risk you took that you're proud of?
Coming to Dubai.
Really?
Yeah.
And you felt that was a risk at the time?
Of course, I was a team leader at the company I worked for in Syria. I was surrounded by my family, my friends, everyone. I'm talking before the war. So for me, yeah, it was a big risk.
Were you impacted by the war? Were you still in Syria when that broke out?
I came to Dubai a year before the war.
Okay. Clearly, the country's changed considerably as a result. Are your family still safe?
My parents, my siblings are here.
Great. So, what's been your proudest moment to date, and why would you single that particular moment out?
Launching scene.
Yes.
Finally, I have something new, fresh, that really reflects my vision.
Amazing. What's your aspirations for Scene in the future?
To leave its mark, to help elevate the Arabic media industry, and hopefully to reach to many hearts and minds.
And I'm assuming that the media is in Arabic.
Of course.
Yes.
It's purely in Arabic, yeah.
Purely Arabic.
For
How
now.
do you... Sorry.
For now.
For now, of course, of course.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded?
I don't know. You know, we like I don't think anyone would know. Like we take it day by day. I like what the most important thing I try to do is to have time for my daughter, and then to manage everything the best I can do.
How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
Okay, lovely.
So almost like turning 8 in October.
Do you work from home?
Now, like I'm working from everywhere. Like
Yeah.
like you can see me like at trendy cafes, at home, at like any place that might inspire me.
But that's the beauty of the digital media scene, is it not? We're able to work on the go.
It is, but some companies in Dubai still want you to work from the office.
But it's your company, so
That's
you
my
choose.
company, my
exactly,
rules.
exactly, exactly. Your company, your rules.
Yes.
When you're not working, what is it that brings you joy?
Spending time with family, of course, exercising, meeting friends, traveling, and now like playing paddle. It's like the new thing now in Dubai.
Yes.
Everybody plays paddle now.
I need to take it up, actually. If you could go back in time and give your 21-year-old self some advice, what would that be and why?
Just do it. Like, Aline, just do it. Like, I remember sometimes I was hesitated, I was shy, I was like, quiet, but no. No one gives you the power. You give yourself the power. So just give yourself power and do it.
Fantastic. And for the young ladies watching you, do you have a message for them that you'd like to leave them with?
You need to believe in yourself. You need to fight your own battles. And when you have the faith in yourself, you'll get whatever you want.
And finally, we have a tradition on our show. We always end with one question.
Yeah.
And that question is, what does an Iron Lady mean to you?
To fight and win.
Very concise. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That was the beautiful Aline. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jackie, for having me.
We'll see you next time.